Hello everyone, in Lord Titus here with our newest Uberstack. And yes, so, as you can probably see from the screen, we are in fact on Total War Warhammer 3! Yay, only took me a year to make the jump. My apologies for the delay, but there is a reason for that. As it is a new game, it took me a while to sort of figure out how to do things with it, and even longer to sort of try and figure out what stacks work best, what equipment works best. I need to sort of play with quite a few of them. Now, first thing I need to say is this is obviously only a bit before Immortal Empires comes out, and Immortal Empires just guarantee 10 out of 10 will be a better place to do Doom stacks, because there's just more defeat traits available. But this Doom stack that I'm going to show you today took me way too long to actually put together. And as a result, and I still haven't fully put it together, but I'm on turn 204 already, and I will have won this game quite a long time before I get the whole thing perfected. And that's partially as a positive and partially as a negative result of how Warhammer 3 works. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, the main thing about Warhammer 3 is, if I just look over here, the main thing about Warhammer 3 is that you can fuse magic items together to create better ones. It's a fantastic system. It's actually amazing to me it took this long to become a system, and it's amazing. It's a superb system, but the problem that arises is it means that suddenly fully kitting your Doomstack out with full perfect blue tier equipment is actually inside the realms of possibility, which makes it just that much more exhausting trying to make such Doomstacks. So this Doomstack isn't 100% fully perfected, but it is perfected enough that I feel confident I can show you and sort of explain what it would look like if it was perfected and how it would all work. So as you can see, I am playing as the Great Orthodoxy, as Kislev. Now, there's exactly one reason I'm doing this, and that is because of Cultist of Ursun giving 20% ward save for embedded Patriarchs. So yes, this is a Patriarch Doomstack. I'm going to say right up front, I think this is the only Uberstack on the same sort of level as the ones I showed before from Total War Warhammer 2, just because the factions in this game, while they have a lot of strong units, they never are going to have an army build that is as ludicrous as, say, the Tree Men or the Fear stacks that you can get. It doesn't exist in Warhammer 3 that I've seen so far. You can get very strong stacks, so I've seen Blood Reapers of Khorne, a whole load of those, and on their sort of bicycles. Those are pretty good, and I've seen Bloodthirster and Keeper of Secrets spams with the Demon Prince, which are also very good, but I don't think that any of them have the same, or anywhere near the same sort of level as you can see in Total War Warhammer 2, except for this one. So it is a Patriarch Doomstack, because 20% for embedded Patriarchs is enormous. The highest ward save that a standard character can get without any sort of racial specific items in this game is 26%, and then a 5% physical resistance if you use the Armour of Destiny. The Patriarchs all start off with 20% just by being embedded, which is huge. It means that they are some of the most durable units in any Total War Warhammer game so far, probably in any Total War game so far, and because it's Kislev, they also get a whole lot of other things which make them even more durable and even more vicious and effective. So yeah, we are going to be looking at a Patriarch stack, and it's going to be this one here, under the leadership of Tsarina Katerin. So as you can see, a whole load of Patriarchs. So I'm going to go through this, do my usual thing, go and talk about what goes into each bit. So, first thing is that all these Patriarchs are disciplined. As with all the time, the traits are very important. The standard Kislev traits are, quite frankly, just awful. The only Kislev trait that I feel is actually even remotely worthwhile other than disciplined is Strongholder, but that only applies in friendly territory, so it's just a waste of time, whereas disciplined is just always a very good one to default to. And as you can see, not fully equipped this guy, because I'm spending, I could have fully kitted all these guys out with magic items, And if I wanted to spend literally years of my life just managing RNG, then I probably could even get them all kitted out with just the right items by saving and reloading every time I fuse an item until I've got the perfect item. But that just sounds like a massive waste of time when I can sort of demonstrate. And it's not like he's weak, he's perfectly capable of fighting, even without any of this, but he's just not sort of perfected yet. So, full Patriarch army. Tsarina Katerin is the leader. Several reasons for that. Firstly, is that she's a spellcaster, and you need this army spellcaster. She is a very good spellcaster. She is the best Kislevite spellcaster in my opinion, and has some very, very nice spells, but most importantly, has some very nice skills to go with those spells. So, looking at her traits here, so she's got Ice Mistress to reduce Winds of Magic costs, Embodiment of Winter for extra durability and weapon strength, which you can sort of see over here, 96 armor, decent number of hit points. Weapon strength is huge, but we will discuss that a bit more in a moment when I talk about her equipment. Frost Affinity for extra 10% speed. In all honesty, if I was able to get to the Shield of Ice without Frost Affinity, I would not have Frost Affinity, because it actually is a bit of a handicap, because she just moves faster than the rest of the army, which means that she's often by herself for a bit. But this is the really big one. Shield of Ice, 8% ward save for the entire army. This trait right here, basically by itself, guarantees that she's the perfect leader for literally any Kislev Doomstack. If you wanted to maximise any Kislev Doomstack, you put Tsarina Katerin in, because an 8% ward save is just fantastic. And that's another big part. So, 8% ward save means that the entire army is at base 28% ward save before any equipment. Every single Patriarch, just by existing inside this army, is already at a higher ward save than it is possible for any regular characters to get. Yeah, this is why this is the best Doomstack in this game by some margin. Then we have her magic. So we've got all of it maxed out, no reason not to. He's got plenty of points. Because it's a hero spam stack, there is literally no point in putting anything at all into the red tree. So I just plunged it all into this one and this one, which is good. Lightning Strike, good. Quartermaster, reduce upkeep. Yep, you know all of this. This is all fairly standard, and it's a very good set of skills. And she's very strong because of it. But yeah, but the really big reason is Shield of Ice and these two spells here. Crystal Sanctuary is great. It just means a bit of protection from all of. If anything gets a bit too stressful, you can just give everyone plus 60% damage resistance, which is frankly slightly absurd. And Heart of Winter is the other one, because it is just an amazing damage dealing spell. I don't even know why it's this good. It's just really, really strong. But yeah, so really strong spell. Earthing is nice. Magical reserves, this is a pain. Arcane Conduit is basically necessary a lot of the time, just because you have so little magic in this game, you need it out fast. But that's Tsarina Katerin. Now, then we have her equipment. The thing about Tsarina Katerin is that in this army, she's actually by default the least durable, because she only has an 8% base ward save, while all the Patriarchs have a 28% base ward save. So all of her ward save pretty much needs to come from her equipment. Fortunately, she can equip Slaanesh's Blade. This is literally the only reason I've gone into the Realms of Chaos in this campaign, because I don't actually think you can make a Doomstack in the Realm of Chaos campaign where the Lord doesn't have Slaanesh's Blade, because it just makes them so much better. 20% ward save, unbreakable. It's almost all of the benefits of the Sword of Cain without any of the drawbacks. It's just a fantastic item, and I love Slaanesh Realm. Basically, it's a great thing. But that's why I've got over 1,000 armor piercing, 1,000 damage. It's because the extra 500 armor piercing weapon damage is very, very nice, and extra 30 melee attack, which is why I have a huge melee attack right here. Normally I would have Frostfang equipped, but the set bonus is just not worth it, and the abilities of Frostfang just pale in comparison to Slaanesh's blade. But the main reason I want this is for that ward save, because as a result, Zarina Catherine now has a 54% ward save, which is still 10% higher than... it's not 8% higher than any other character in this game can get without the Blade of Slaanesh, and can get just because of her Lord of Ice ability. So this applies, the Shield of Ice, this applies to herself as well, and she's by default 8% better off than someone with identical equipment would be. But 54%, as you'll see, is not actually a huge amount for this army, so that's where we'll leave it. But Crystal Cloak, 10% ward save, very, very nice. A little bit of extra armor, always good. Definitely not worth changing out. And the Crystal Cloak ability of extra damage resistance whenever you cast spells is just great. I don't actually cast spells too often, but it does mean I go over 100% ward save when I cast Shield of Ice. What was it called? When I cast Crystal Sanctuary on myself. So yeah. Very, very nice. Talisman Preservation, very standard, best defensive item in the game, 16% ward save. Yeah, nothing really to say about this, it's just a really, really good item. Balalakai of the Orari. Balalakai of the Orari, don't know how to pronounce that. 5+5 melee defense, +5 melee attack for everyone within 35 meters. As you might imagine, this army blobs up quite a lot, so it's a good one to have. Mirror of the Ice Queen, causes damage to combatants when you're in melee. It turns her into a Mortis Engine, which is very, very nice. She typically does very well in her damage values. Yeah, and it's a good item, and it's probably the best arcane item to put in now that the ability to use magic has been nerfed into the ground thanks to the heavily restricted total magic total. Extra campaign line of sight's good, construction time reduction good, extra campaign movement range is great. Banner of Eternal Flame, fairly standard, just put, especially for a blob army, put it on one of my characters and then just everyone gets bonus weapon damage and flaming attacks, which is there, it's good. Banner of the Orthodoxy for extra melee attack and magical attacks, that sits on me at the moment, which is why she's got huge amounts of melee attack. And then the other Realm of Slaanesh bonus, Personal Sycophant, unit experience gain per turn irrelevant, experience gain per turn irrelevant, campaign movement range plus 20%, and campaign line of sight plus 25%. Very relevant. I mean, we all know Slaanesh's Realm is the best, Personal Sycophant is like the best ancillary you can get in the game. I have it, therefore it's there. Then we have the actual fighting strength of this army, all of these patriarchs. So, obviously, lots of blue equipment, lots of them are quite well equipped, but I'm going to give you two examples. These are the two sort of ideal examples of how I would equip them, and if given enough time, this is how I would equip them when I get all the relevant magic items. So firstly, this one. You're going to kind of need two of this one, but anyway, look at the skills. Skills are quite straightforward. And all of my patriarchs are spec'd the same way, skills-wise. They've got maxed out combat tree except for soothsaying, which is a pointless skill. And then maxed this all out because there's 50 skill points, so all but 2 can be maxed out. Warbear and Warhorse get for free. Warbear is the one that's equipped, obviously. Means they get armor-piercing weapon damage and extra armor, which is lovely. Ursun's Protection for 10% missile resistance, which means that their missile resistance is now 25%. Immortality, obviously, all of that maxed out. Saliak's Lullaby is the only prayer that any of them have, because mass healing is just so useful, and it means I can just sort of keep it turning over in any given battle, just to keep myself at high hit points. Yeah, that's all of them are spec'd the same way skills-wise. In fact, let's just look one final look. Other thing to think about is the various extra bonuses that I get for victory, is my defeat traits. So, Ice Queen, reduced corruption, good. Miscast base chance, good. Basically means I can't miscast with most of my spells. Dauntless, yep, that's there. Can't really help with that. Headsman, reduce enemy leadership in the local area, which is nice. Ambuscader, very, very nice. Supervisor, very, very nice. Plunderer is there. Yeah. Okay, where are we? Oh my goodness. So, Beaten Scarbrand, so extra charge bonus and weapon strength for the entire army. Beaten Throt, so 10% extra hit points. Beat Kugath. To be honest, if Kugath wasn't in the way, I probably wouldn't have got this one because his defeat trait is just bad. But anyway, Perfect Vigor and extra campaign movement range for everyone. Again, great, and reduced attrition, and you just will get that one. Kairos Fate Weaver's trait. Spell resistance 15% for the entire army and bonus Winds of Magic Power Reserve. Both excellent, and spell resistance is good. It's not as good as magic resistance was, but it's useful, especially when fighting against Tzeentch, which likes spamming spells. And then Grease's Goldtooth's defeat trait. Again, he was in the way. Yeah. But anyway, back to the Patriarchs. So, Patriarchs all have 15% spell resistance, and that comes from Tzeentch, the Kairos Fate Weaver defeat trait. They all have 25% missile resistance because of Ursun's protection and the basic that you get for being a character. But then, this one, he has the Armour of Destiny and the Talisman of Preservation for durability, so that's 26% ward save, on top of the 28% they have base, which means that they're up to a 54% base ward save, which is virtually unobtainable for almost any other unit or faction in the game. No, only the Wood Elves can get anywhere close to that ward save for most of their army, and that's only if they're fighting in a forest, whereas these guys have it all the time, everywhere. They all also have Indefatigable Leader, so they all have Perfect Vigor, just because they will often be in very long sustained fights, and that Perfect Vigor is very, very nice. These guys have Armour of Destiny and therefore have 5% physical resistance, which would be more relevant if I wasn't almost always fighting demons, but what can you do? It's there. And the other Trickster Shard. Now, this isn't necessarily the one to equip, but the important thing is that you will have one or two guys sort of set up like this, and your enchanted item is what you want to sort of, and your weapon is what you want to sort of swap out between them, so that you have a good range to boost the rest of it. These two at the moment have Darv's Brazier, because extra regeneration is always lovely. The melee attack bonus is fine, but the regeneration is the really important part. And the other Trickster Shard for spell resistance reduction, so that Katarina's very limited magic can go that bit further. And again, fairly straightforward. The only ones that really matter here are Ataman's Administrator and Ritual Enforcer, because a combination of this across the whole army means that they get down to, all buildings get down to 1 turn construction time. And Ritual Enforcer reduced budget for seducing enemy units. For the whole army, that means that it is reduced to 0 budget for seducing units, so I am completely safe. And reduced corruption, also very, very nice. I do massive corruption reduction wherever I go. I think it's over 100 for this army, which is just amazing. Yeah, so these two are both equipped with Darv's Brazier. I haven't come up with another enchanted item for this one to equip. It might at some point be Balalakite of the Orari, but I'm not 100% on that. We'll see where it goes. But the important lot is the next one. So this is how I believe all of the other Patriarchs should be equipped when I manage to get them all fully sort of sorted out. So, exactly the same stats. No changes to levelling up or anything. I think this is a good levelling up set. All of them have Saliak's Lullaby, just so that I can regenerate hit points. And there's no need to go into healer, because cooldown to Saliak's Lullaby is irrelevant, because I've got 20 of them, so I can just chain it along and it will never run out. Indefatigable Leader for Perfect Vigor. Again, very standard. This time, however, we have slightly different equipment. So, we have the Worm Harness and the Worm Spike. These are a pair that together give extra melee attack and extra bonus versus large. Worm Harness gives 15 armor and 10% ward save. Worm Spike gives extra melee attack, melee defense, and bonus versus large. So they have very high melee attack, they have helped out melee defense, and they also have a plus 15 bonus versus large. So they're up to 122 melee attack against large enemies, which, if you notice, is exactly the same as Tsarina Katarin with Slanesh's Blade. So these guys are very, very, very good at killing things in close quarters. They also have Frostbite, thanks to the Worm Spike, which also manages to quite amusingly stack with the Banner of Eternal Flame to also have flaming attacks. Don't ask me how that works, it just does. Talisman of Preservation, 16% ward save, again, very standard, probably would never change this out. But finally, the Iron Curse Icon. For 10% missile resistance. So up here we're at 35% missile resistance for this guy, and will be for the rest of them. Interestingly, Iron Curse Icon is probably the hardest one to actually acquire, because as it's common, the only way you can get it is by finding it. You can't fuse items to make it. So it's literally just RNG, and I've had very little luck with it so far this game. And I mean, again, if I wanted to repeat and repeat and repeat, I probably could find a lot more of them, but that it already took me long enough to get all of these guys disciplined. I don't want to be doing that as well. But yeah, so that's the standard equipment. That is what I would advise you equip for all of your remaining Patriarchs. They do not need bonus damage. 479 damage is perfectly adequate, but with that huge melee attack and lots of armor piercing damage, they will just chew through almost anything you encounter with no issues whatsoever. Infantry, cavalry, anything. Obviously better against large, because they get that bonus versus large, but Tsarina Katarin's magic is fantastic for clearing out infantry if you need them cleared out quickly, and these guys, if they can't be cleared out quickly, can just chew through them, because with 105 armor and 54% ward save, they are not going anywhere at any speed. So that's pretty much what the army consists of. It's just Tsarina Katarin, these two weirdos, and then a whole load of identically equipped guys with worm spikes. And that's pretty much it. So, in that case, let's just play a little bit of a battle.
Unleash Kisle's
So,
wrath.
okay, so this, as you might see, this is not a weak army. This is an army that would be a right pay for most standard Kislev armies. Lots of fast things, good range on these guys, and lots of shooting. Makes it very, very difficult to sort of get through easily. It's not the strongest army I've faced, but at the same time, the strongest armies that I've faced have been quite rare. But yeah, this is a good army, and it's a very worthy army to practice with this army on. So let's make it harder. Let's lightning strike it, so we're at a disadvantage, and let's go. So, this army, the joy of it is that there are very, very, very few sort of subtleties to its use. It's not a clever instrument. It is a very blunt instrument that just does its job very, very, very well. So, just group them all together and just banzai charge right into the centre of it.
Ours is the immortal kingdom. These others are
Lots
but
of them
insects
using
to
their
Kislev.
bound spells to glean a lot of magic.
Execute them!
So we're into combat, and so firstly you can see Dav's Brazier sort of regenerating them even as they get hit. And Katarina is the fastest, which is actually a bit of a drawback at times, but anyway. Yeah. So, we're just going to battle through here. Occasionally, we're just going to pop off some Saliak's lullabies, just to make certain that none of my guys get too badly hurt. Let's have a look at it now. So, up to 141 melee attack, and that's thanks to the Balakalite of the Arari. Yeah, so nice extra bonus there. Evasion and Enduring Devotion boosting my melee defense up quite nicely, and Banner of Eternal Flame boosting my damage, which is great. These guys, 116 melee attack, including flaming, 488 melee damage. It's a great setup, and it's a very simple one to use. So we just sit here in a blob and occasionally use our spells, and that's all we need to do. Now, this is the problem with this game in general, is that magic has just been absolutely gutted in this game. So Heart of Winter would normally be something I just plonk down right here and just obliterate this blob, but we've only got a maximum capacity of 20 magic, which is very annoying. So what we're going to do is we're going to cast a quick spell there, just to get Katarina's extra ward save up. And look, 74% ward save thanks to casting a spell of literally any sort. And I do need to stress, 74% ward save, there are only a handful of units in the game that can get up to a 70% ward save. It's Malice Darkblade, used to be Kolek Sun Eater, although we'll see how that's all changed now the Mark of Tzeentch is slightly different. We'll see how that all works, but she is very, very, very tough and very, very powerful in combat, and that's even without her magic. So yeah, and you can see she's actually taking up quite a lot of value. That's just because of her Mirror of the Ice Queen, where she works as a mortis engine. So whenever we're in combat with these huge infantry blobs, that's what's happening. She's just draining them out without needing to actually use magic or actually engage in a direct fight with them.
Kiss the supreme leader.
Yeah, so you can just see the effect right there. Yeah, you'll see the effect, it's just being drained out.
The Ice Queen.
Yeah.
The people's ruler.
So, Tzeentch really isn't the most dangerous faction to play against with this army. Slaanesh is really quite nasty to deal with this army, just because they are very good at getting a surround on you, and
Execute them.
the AI in this is really, really bad at staying in a blob. If this stays as a blob, you have won the battle, basically, because there is next to nothing in the game that can actually dislodge them from this blob. But if they get separated, they are very they can be very, very vulnerable, especially some of the higher damage demons. So you just want to keep them as a blob, keep sort of chaining the healings over them all so that they don't ever lose too much HP. I mean, as you can see, plenty of damage done. Katarina, even without much effective magic.
They die.
Just keep them as a blob, keep chaining those heals, and you will almost always end battles on more than full hit points. Yeah, and that is kind of that, really. There's not really much more to be said about it. We have all the lovely bear riders down here, looking very, very nice. Yeah, and Katarina in the middle. And yeah, so close victory. Pah. Yep, there we go. No reason not to just take the money. But yeah, so that is the stack. Obviously, as I mentioned, it hasn't exactly been completed just yet. There are still lots of magic items that need to be generated, and eventually I feel like I'm going to have to cannibalize my own blue magic items to get more blue magic items. But in the time being, no particular rush for that, because as you saw, it didn't really make that much difference. Most things don't actually have the damage to get through even a 28% ward save, and 105 armor, let alone the frankly ridiculous ward save that these guys have by default, 54%. Yeah, so continuing to grind, the RNG is what this lives and dies by. I got all of the patriarchs for this army together by turn 70. I had them all appropriately leveled, so leveled up enough to get their combat tree maxed out by turn 100. I confederated Katarina Katarin on turn 60, I want to say, and I had this all, and I got the Blade of Slaanesh on turn 150, and that's what it took to make this army. And as you can see, the campaign as a whole is actually going very, very well, but this army is basically invincible and has just been rampaging all over here because there is just nothing that can stop it, slow it down. you can get ganged up on, and I did get ganged up on by 3 or 4 different armies, so 2 Tzeentchian ones and 2 ogre ones,
proud,
all in
men
at
of
the same
Kislev.
time. And it still didn't matter, because I could just tank through them all and just drain them all out with Katarina's magic and her Mirror of the Ice Queen, and it just didn't matter. So, that is the army for today. I think it's the only functional Uberstack in all of the Realm of Chaos campaign as it is. And I am intending to sort of continue with this until I have got it more or less perfected. It's going to take me forever, but I will have a go and see how I can get it there. If I do manage to get it there before Immortal Empires comes out, I will make another video, but don't hold your breath because that's a lot of luck. So yeah, that is that. Thank you for watching. See you all next time. Please do like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and definitely leave a comment if there is a particular stack you want me to see or something you think I could improve on. So anyway,